So previous classes we have talked about synapses, right? So first we talked about the organization of the nervous system. In the subsequent classes we have talked about the synapses and their properties, right? So you will find the application of synapse, the properties of synapse in the coming lectures. So we'll start with the sensory system. And the first topic that you should know about is the receptors. So what are the objectives? So we'll first classify a receptor, define and classifying the receptors. Then we'll see how potential is produced, and we'll see how it is encoded, right? So let's start with some common examples. So right now, can you feel your clothes on your body? Where do you? Are you aware of your clothes all the time? You are aware? Think and answer. All of us are wearing clothes, but we are not aware about it throughout the time. Imagine if you are aware about your clothes throughout the day. So when your clothes are touching on your body, this is what type of sensation? Touch. So if you are aware about it throughout the day, it would have been such a botheration. It would have bothered you like continuously something is distracting you. Like right now, he has distracted me. So we do not feel the clothes throughout the day. So there is a reason why this. So even though there is a stimulus is there, but we are not aware of it. It will try to answer why. Can you feel the pressure of your body as you sit? In anatomy, you must have learned you sit on which bone? Ischial tuberosity, right? So do you feel the pressure of your body, the weight of your body as you sit? All of you sitting right now, I'm not asking you to fail or pass. I'm asking your experience. Do you feel your weight of the body as you sit? Some people are saying yes, some are saying no. So you're not sure whether you feel your weight or not. Can you feel the position of your joints? Say the wrist joint, elbow joint. Can you feel the position? If you close your eyes, can all of you close your eyes and feel the position of your left thumb? Close your eyes and feel the position of your left thumb. Can you feel? Can you feel the position of your second metacarpophalangeal joint? Second metacarpophalangeal joint with closed eyes. If you move it, can you feel the position of it or not? You can perform different movements in the joints of flexion, extension. So even with closed eyes, you know which direction the movement is occurring, right? So that means we are aware of our position of our bones, joints and muscles, right? So what if I ask you, can you feel the position of your heart? How many of you can feel the position? I'm not asking apex beat. Close your eyes and try to feel the position of your heart. Can you? Position of your stomach? No. So there is a reason. So both of the heart is a part of our body, muscles and joints are also part of the body. But the reason we do not feel or we are not aware of the position is because of the absence of position sensing receptors. So you see the application of receptors in a wide variety of our daily life. And the last question. So do you think all the sensations that we have, that we experience in a day-to-day life or that happens with us, are all of them conscious or some of them are unconscious? Are all our sensations conscious or unconscious? Yes, any thoughts? Can you feel pain? You can pinch the person sitting next and see if there is pain or not. You can feel touch, temperature, pressure, all of this we can feel. But do you feel the position, do you feel the position of the heart? As I said, you do not feel. Do you feel the changes in the blood pressure that are detected by the baroreceptors? वो भी receptors ही हैं, right? But you do not feel that, you do not become conscious of it as such, right? Are we conscious of the osmolarity that is detected by osmoreceptors? We are not. So what is the difference? So you will see in the subsequent classes that all information that reaches the cerebral cortex, all stimuli, the sensory pathways of which travel up the spinal cord and reach the cerebral cortex, so they are all conscious sensations. You are all conscious of it. And all those sensations or stimuli or experiences which are not conveyed to the cortex, but which finish, terminate below the level of the cortex, that is the subcortical level. In the nucleus of tractus solitary, the commonest one, you have just read about it. Anything beyond the level of the cortex, in the brainstem, for example, a lot of sensations terminate in the brainstem. Anything beyond the level of cortex is not conscious, right? Our day-to-day life becomes a lot easier because of these unconscious sensations. How is it possible? So think about it, for example, on a moment-to-moment basis, the information about the position of our body, the balance, right? All of this goes to the cerebellum, right? And the moment there is a tendency of losing balance, you immediately reflexly correct it. We reflexly correct it. So unconscious sensations are also there, and they are equally important, right? So this is about where in our body, in our day-to-day experiences, receptors are important, right? So what do we understand by receptors? So these are instruments which can convert all other forms of energy into electrical energy. Because why? Because neurons or nerve fibers, they respond only to electrical changes. It can be a local potential, right? It can be action potential. And for anything which has to travel from the periphery to the brain, so this is a long distance communication. So anything which travels through such a long distance can travel only through the form of action potential. So you remember what you learned about local and action potential. A local potential is a depolarizing change, but it is not propagated over long distances. So it dies off exponentially with distance. So this was a concept you learned in the first unit in general physiology. Action potential is the only form of electrical communication that can travel across long distances, right? So any form of energy, any form of stimuli, it needs to be converted into these electrical signals. So that is what a receptor does. So it is a transducer. So it can convert mechanical, like touch, pressure, these are forms of mechanical energy. Light is a form of electromagnetic energy, photons, right? Sound, so sound is also one form of mechanical energy. So physics mein there are two schools. One theory describes sound as a wave, the other theory describes sound as a particle. But whatever be the cause, eventually they are different forms of mechanical energy. Chemical energy, stimuli, for example, could be the sensation of taste, right? Everything that you eat, it is eventually the chemicals which stimulate the receptors. It can be olfaction, right? So even for that matter, osmolarity is also a change in the composition, chemical composition, number of osmoles. So all of this gets converted into electrical signals by instruments which we call as receptors. So this is what receptor actually means. You convert everything to electrical forms. Now a receptor can be a free nerve ending. This is one. It can be that. It can be a nerve ending, dendritic ends within some connective tissue capsules, right? And thirdly, it can be epithelial cells which are supplied by some sensory neuron. So it can be present in our body in three ways. The sensations of pain and temperature, for that matter, The receptors are the free nerve endings, the bare nerve endings themselves are receptors. In most other cases, for say touch and pressure, you will find that the dendritic ends are within some type of connective tissue structure within a capsule. And the third variety, say for the taste cells in the tongue. So they are epithelial cells which are supplied by a sensory nerve. So these are the three varieties of receptors which can be present structurally. Now this classification is there in your books, just try to understand broadly. So on the basis of stimulus source, we have three types: exteroceptors, which are detecting changes outside the body; proprioceptors, which are detecting changes within the body; and interoceptors. Proprioceptors are for position, interoceptors are for detecting stimuli within the body. Exteroceptors can be for general senses and for special senses. In general senses, as you can see, you have three broad types: mechanoreceptors, thermoreceptors, and nociceptors. Right? Mechanoreceptors detect mechanical stimuli. They can be slowly and rapidly adapting, both superficial and deep. So I'll come to this in a bit. Thermoreceptors detect temperature. Nociceptors detect pain. Right? Special senses, if you see, photoreceptors present in the rods and cones of the retina, mechanoreceptors, the hair cells of cochlea, and chemoreceptors, gustatory, that is taste, and olfactory receptors. So these are the examples of exteroceptors which detect experiences or stimuli on the external aspect of the body. So out of this, if you look very carefully, for all of these three varieties, and for that matter chemoreceptors also, the stimulus has to come in contact with the body. It is on the outside, but it is still coming in contact with the body, right? But what about the photoreceptors? The stimulus is a source of light. It is not coming in contact with the body, right? So this type of receptors are also described as teleceptors. Teleceptor, you can find similar an analogy with telepathy, right? Communicating without actually coming in contact. So this type of thing, similar. So when the stimulus is not coming in contact, it is acting from a distance. We call this photoreceptor, teleceptors. Examples being photoreceptors. Can you tell me which receptor, we have discussed these few things, helps us to appreciate gravity? Any thoughts? So gravity is also a force which is omnipresent, not only on Earth but throughout the universe. So which receptor out of this helps us to understand gravitational force? So gravitational force also acts from a distance. We are not coming in contact. So hair cells in the cochlea, so hair cells in the inner ear, in the vestibular apparatus, right? Hair cells in the vestibular apparatus are the receptors which respond to gravity. How? So you learn when the topic is taken up, balance jab hoga, you will see what exact mechanism is there. Okay, moving on to proprioceptors, there can be some general ones like Golgi tendon organ, muscle spindle, and joint capsule. So these are present within the muscles. So deep within the muscle, you find a small structure, we call them as the muscle spindle. In the tendon, we have a receptor, we call this the GTO, Golgi tendon organ. And within the joints, we have the joint capsule. Special senses would be this: hair cells in the otolith organs and semicircular canals. So both of these two structures are present within the inner ear, and this is what I was talking about. So they deform on the basis of certain weight that is exerted by some crystals lying on these organs. So they are mechanoreceptors, but they are actually responding to gravity. Okay, moving on to the last variety, you can all understand these are internal changes which are occurring in the body. Blood pressure changes would be detected by baroreceptors. Glucose changes, level of glucose, they can be detected by glucoreceptors and osmoreceptors. Just examples, so there are many such things. So on the basis of stimulus energy, so most of it we have already discussed. Photoreceptors which detect light, chemoreceptors which detect chemicals, thermoreceptors which detect temperature, right? Mechanoreceptors which detect force and pressure. touch. So you can find this mechanoreceptors in so many places. Touch, receptors, muscle spindles, GTO, hair cells, etc. And pain, which is directed by nociceptors. So one important concept that I want to impress upon you is, if you think about the tactile receptors, the ones which varieties of touch. So there is actually the same group of receptors which respond to a variety of things: touch, pressure, and vibration. What is the difference between all of this? Are they all similar in one way? Touch, pressure, and vibration. They are similar in the sense that they are all different forms of contact, mechanical energy, and everything is coming in contact. So when you apply a little bit of force on your touch, so that becomes what? Pressure, right? And when the stimuli becomes repetitive or cyclical, that becomes vibration, right? So in that way, it is a continuum. These are all varieties of tactile sensations: touch, pressure, and vibration. So as I said, if you talk of a little bit of force, it becomes pressure, and if it becomes repetitive or cyclical, it is now a vibration. But receptors are the same for all of this. Now on the basis of adaptation, so it is a slowly adapting or a rapidly adapting receptor, right? So fine touch के जो receptors है, these are rapidly adapting receptors. So that is the reason we are not aware of our clothes most of the times. So when we wear our clothes, we are aware कि we are putting it on, but then after that we don't realize we are working, going about, running errands, but we don't realize this. We are not aware all the time. So the reason is these receptors are rapidly adapting. So adaptation means when a constant stimulus is being given, after some time they stop responding. So faster this happens, this is then called as a rapidly adapting receptor. Slowly adapting receptor or a tonic receptor. Think about it. All of you have experienced pain at some amount of time in your lives. Yes or no? जिंदगी में दर्द ही दर्द है, बहुत गम है दुनिया में. So pain is one of the receptors which takes a very long time to adapt. And why is it so? Do you think it is good if pain does not adapt? It is good or not? Is pain good for the body? Yes or no? Yes? We are all ready to endure more and more. Okay. Why do you think it is important? You are all correct when you say that pain is very necessary for the body. Why? Because pain is the sensation that makes you aware of something is gone wrong somewhere, right? So nature has made it like that the receptors of pain are very slowly adapting. That means you will continuously be aware of it till the time you remove the stimulus. So this is good. This is a evolutionary protection that we have got. Okay. So these are the different varieties of tactile receptors that I was discussing. So the first one that you see is a Merkel disc. So on our skin, if you map it millimeter by millimeter, you will have small raised areas. These are the areas where you have specialized cells called Merkel cells. And inside this, you have this type of dendritic thickening, right? This is called as the Merkel disc. And the cell, this is a specialized cell of the skin itself. This is called as a Merkel cell. So this is an enlarged view of the Merkel cell. And whenever there is a pressure here, this type of channels, which are mechanosensitive channels, piezo 2 channels become active, and this then stimulate the dendritic end that is there. Moving on to the other one, right? You can see this one, dendritic end with a elongated capsule. This is a Ruffini's ending. So these are all dendrites and one elongated capsule. This is a Meissner's corpuscle. So we have two corpuscles in the skin, Meissner's and Pachinian corpuscle. So corpuscle is a very nicely encapsulated structure of dendritic ends. So these are different examples of receptors. Pacinian corpuscle is a very widely studied corpuscle because of its structure. Most of the properties of receptors that we know is from our experiments on Pacinian corpuscle, and you can see this has got a onion-like appearance. So you have connective tissue lamellae. All of these are lamellae of connective tissue, in the center or core of which you have the nerve ending. So remember, we are talking of the bare dendritic ends. So at the core of the tissue, we have a unmyelinated bare ending, right? This is the Schwann cell. The first node of Ranvier is within the connective tissue capsule, remember. Second node is outside. But action potential generation starts from the first node itself. So this is one of the common questions that is asked in MCQs. So the first node is within the capsule or the corpuscle structure. The second node is outside, but the process of action potential generation starts from first node itself. Whether they're capsulated or encapsulated, we have one more type of nomenclature or classification. Epicritic sensations which have receptors by capsules, and the other ones like pain and temperature, they are called as protopathic sensations. So we'll talk about this slide and stop today. So what are the functions of all of these receptors, right? Tactile receptors. So Meissner's corpuscle that you see here, this is the Meissner's corpuscle. This is associated with the sensation of touch and low frequency vibration, 5 to 40 Hz. Pacinian corpuscle, deep pressure and vibration. High frequency vibrations are detected with the help of Pacinian corpuscle. Also notice that the Meissner's is more superficial, Pacinian corpuscle is deeper, right? So a Meissner's corpuscle, because it is superficial, it can detect changes from small area, but a Pacinian corpuscle, because it is deeper, so it can be stimulated by a larger area. So stimulus area is larger for the deeper the receptor, more is the area from which it can detect the stimulus. Ruffini's endings. These are Ruffini's endings. These are for sustained pressure. Merkel's receptor for sustained touch and pressure. So this is again out of which Ruffini's endings are deeper, Merkel's are superficial, right? Free nerve endings, these are the ones which are concerned with pain and temperature, and hair follicle receptors. So these receptors are important for detecting motion, right? So important for which sensation? Tickle, right? All of you know that tickle is a sensation, right? So tickling happens. There are a lot of mechanisms, but one of the mechanisms they say is because of this movement of the hair follicle receptors. This is also the same reason why you can feel an insect crawling up your body. So motion always is detected from the skin by this type of hair follicle receptors, right? So we'll stop here today. Next class we'll talk about the remaining part of the topic.